Welcome back, folks. I'm Kenjamin, and today we're taking a look at Dungeons of Dreadrock. First of all, how is everyone doing? I know it's been a long time since I've posted a video, but I'm so glad to be back and sharing new content with all of you. Before we start with the review, we're going to give a quick thank you to the people who made this video possible. First, I'd like to thank today's game developer, Christoph Minameyer, for providing us with a copy of Dungeons of Dreadrock to share with the viewers. Also, I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Secondly, I'd like to thank the Game Development World Championship for allowing me to collaborate with them. For those of you who don't know what the GDWC is, it's a yearly competition that is free to join for game developers. For any and all game developers out there, if you'd like to get more exposure for your games and want to win some amazing prizes, then head on over to the GDWC page and check out how you can enter the yearly competition. If you're a gamer who's looking for a new indie game to play, you should definitely check out their page. I'll link the GDWC website in my description for all of you. Again, joining the competition as a game developer is completely free. With thank yous out of the way, let's go ahead and start the review. According to the game developer, Dungeons of Dreadrock is a top-down, real-time, grid-based dungeon crawler that was designed to be minimalist and accessible on one hand, while providing depth in gameplay, puzzles, and atmosphere on the other. Dungeons of Dreadrock is an adventure game that includes action, exploration, and fighting, but mainly focuses on puzzles. Dungeons of Dreadrock initially released on Steam for Windows in March of 2022 for $3.99 US and is also free on iOS and Android. Eventually, it will see a port to the Nintendo Switch, but that will be later in 2022. For the purposes of this video, we'll be playing on PC. If you're a mobile gamer who wants something to play in between classes or your commute, then I highly recommend you check this game out. There is a storyline to the game, however, it's not super complex. Essentially, you play as the older sister to a boy who is tasked with going into a dungeon and slaying the boss inside. You get a bad feeling and chase after your brother, only to find that he's being escorted to the depths of the dungeon as a sacrifice. Your job is to get to your brother at the bottom of the dungeon and save him. Oh, and the group or cult that sent your brother to be a sacrifice don't show up until you're basically halfway down the dungeon. So that says a lot about what the cult thinks of you and your brother. In terms of gameplay, Dungeons of Dreadrock is pretty simple. You move in 4 cardinal directions and you throw stuff around. What makes the game challenging is its puzzles. Some puzzles require you to activate switches that operate on a timer, while others test your patience and reflexes. You'll go through countless hordes of monsters along the way. You'll find zombies hungry for brains, minotaurs who will run you over, and even some humans who just happen to be caught up in the midst of the dungeon. Let's walk through one of the more complex dungeon puzzles, and I'll narrate what's going on. So in this puzzle, the far left and the far right floor tiles act as switches. Those tiles will activate the 4 center tiles. They will either open or close. If something is occupying the left and the right switches, then the 4 tiles in the middle will not open. Since they're closed right now, I can go ahead and throw some other items on top of these floor tiles. And once I pick up that rock and I step off the tile, the floor actually opens up and the items will drop down. So now that I sent all 4 items down, I can proceed on to the next floor, and the gates here will actually open. And if I pick up my sword, then the switches or the gates will actually close on me. So I'll leave all of the items there and I'll proceed on to the next floor as well. And here I actually see that the clown or the jester picks up the stone, and that's the stone that I need to replace my sword. So the jester doesn't go up to the next floor. I need this zombie to kill the jester so that I can pick up the stone. There we go. And now that we were able to get the zombie to kill the jester, we go ahead and take this rock and we can pick up our sword. Our sword is our weapon that we use for the entire game, so you do not want to lose this sword. You'll most likely not be able to proceed to other floors without it, but that's just something good to know. And this is one of the more complex puzzles, but I hope that this was a helpful, unhelpful guide to clearing those floors. I hope the idea of complex puzzles is stimulating for all of you. If you enjoyed learning about Dungeons of Dredrock, I will leave a link to the Steam store page in my description, as well as a link to the game on the GDWC page. Remember that Dungeon of Dredrock is completely free on mobile devices, so be sure to check the game out on iOS and Android. I actually beat the game already, and I have just a little over 4 hours in total time spent getting through all of the puzzles. I loved every challenging puzzle and I kept coming back for more. Not all the puzzles were straightforward. They definitely required a bit more thinking and trial and error, but I really enjoyed the game overall. With that being said, that's all for today's video, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.